Hello and welcome back. As you might be able to tell, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be taking a look at the game Gilded Destiny, which is an upcoming grand strategy game featured in Victorian era. We're going to be taking a look at the first 5 Dev Diaries, which start with Dev Diary 0, so we're going to be ending on Dev Diary 4. It's not my favorite way of counting, but if you're going to talk about game vision, I guess it makes sense to start out calling it Dev Diary 0. There is a trailer for the game, but it's just kind of like, you know, more picturesque oriented, where it's just kind of it's doing a storytelling type thing. Guy's talking about a letter to his mother, but the point is trains, mostly trains. The Dev Diary the release date is supposed to be in 2024, and from what I've gathered, based on kind of feedback from people, is people are curious about this. People have kind of low expectations. There was something about it being started on Kickstarter, stuff to this effect. I really don't know a lot about it, but I keep getting asked about it, so I thought I would both take a look with you guys. I haven't read through these Dev Diaries before. This will be a first-time experience for me, and so let's jump in. So we have Gilded Destiny taking a look at the game vision. Hello, everyone. Hello. Happy whatever day this is. Welcome to the first development diary for Gilded Destiny. Our team at Aquila Interactive is incredibly excited to share what we've been working on behind the scenes. Gilded Destiny is a passion project to make a grand strategy game that depicts the transformative era of the Industrial Revolution in all of its glory, or inglory. But okay. You will take the helm of a country of your choice and transform it from a backward agrarian society to an industrial powerhouse. Fair enough. The game will be a deep... Man... I understand why people use the word, but deep and complex, and these words just get super overused with strategy games. But okay, deep simulation of societal transformations. Why can't you just say a simulation? Okay, but whatever. Societal transformations, industrialization, economics, warfare, and diplomacy, which are all integral parts of what makes the era so captivating. The destinies of the nation will be in your hands. Okay, big nice. Defining features. Pausable real-time. This game will not be turn-based, so immediately this makes you think of the von Clausewitz engine of Victoria 3, at least, or the entire bit of paradox is that it's real-time, but it's pausable. I mean, do we have a picture of perhaps, we have pictures of the map that this is on Steam, pre-alpha work in project, but it does look a little bit like Victoria 2, or, well, yeah, I suppose Victoria 2. Although the UI is going to be a little bit different here. But okay, we can see some things. There's a map. It's a grand strategy game. Okay, let's continue. Meaningful war mechanics that provide an immersive experience for the defining wars of the era. That's right, dysentery simulator. No. Such as the Franco-Prussian War, which contributed to the unification of Germany, while AI will take over much of the broad military management during warfare. While AI, this already just sounds like Victoria 3, we believe that the option to take direct control of the military to outwit your opponents at the key moments is quite crucial. I think that, in general, I actually dislike the human having extra control relative to the AI, because this means that the human will just be able to abuse AI, and I think it detracts from the overall strategic experience if you can just tactically outmaneuver the AI, largely through loud cars outside. So control of the vital hubs, transit hubs, will be of great importance to your industrial output and your ability to sustain war on the long term. This is transit hubs. This notion sounds really interesting. We'll see. I assume this means ports, but okay. If there's supply lanes, supply lines, this will be kind of cool. Your war plan, thus, must take cutting off your opponent's economic engine into consideration. So, there's a game called Romance of the Three Kingdoms. I think it's 14. The game's not very good, but one of the things I really like is cutting off supply lines is really strong in the game. I think that most warfare should kind of revolve around this, but I'm uncertain how hands-on I want war to be. Okay. Intricate global, it's just deep, intricate global market simulation reacting to every country's population, consumption, and production. So again, this already sounds like they're trying to create Victoria 3, I guess. But I guess I'm operating from a lens of being Victoria 3 oriented, so maybe that's not fair. Logistical chains will be meaningful rather than hidden away, where if a vital railway hub is cut off, your industry's production chains will collapse. Okay. Location of your resource extraction and factory production therefore matters. Fair. This makes sense. Satisfying internal politics and diplomacy, shape your country's governing policies, and match your vision through customization of economic, labor, social, diplomatic, and war policies. All right, fair enough. In principle, as alternate history fans ourselves, we want to make a game where you can be as much control as possible without having constraints on your imagination, while the game will be designed with a high level of automation necessary by the sheer complexity of the game. There we have complexity. We also want to make sure you have direct control to override it anytime you see fit. Direct control to override it anytime you see fit. So this is a classic thing where, like, the simulation of the thing, like of laissez-faire, is the player having no agency, or virtually no agency, and this is coupled, so, like, in terms of a simulation, you as the player should have very little control, but in terms of, you know, an actual game, you have to have control, otherwise the game's boring. Classic trade-off. We'll see how they deal with it, I suppose. Furthermore, we also intend to make the game completely and easily moddable. We plan to roll out a game editor to make modding easier and friendlier for the masses. This should be little to no aspect. There should be little to no aspect that the game modders can modify. All right, the game will be released as a pay-to-play game. Pay-to-play. With DLC, a DLC business model that continues to develop and update as the game with more content. Is this like a subscription? Okay. Below is a sneak peek of early development of our game map. This looks really early. Well, this just looks like, okay. As you can tell from the screenshot, the world will be a sphere created with hexagonal tiles. This decision has huge impacts for the game's mechanics. Currently, we are heavily tweaking the visuals. I don't mind a simplified hexagonal thing. But it reminds me of not Victoria 3 Civilization. I can't see the hexagons on the map, so, okay. Note, the national borders are just placeholders for modern times. Fair enough. We decided to go with hexagonal tiles for several reasons. I'd love to hear about it. To create a high-resolution map with around 1.6 million tiles. Wait, what the why so many tiles? Subject to change depending on performance constraints. Yeah, that seems gratuitous. With a diverse terrain and a resolution much smaller than a province, the map allows a climate weather system, which will have meaningful impact on military outcomes. Okay. Production, trade, and population consumption. Okay, fair enough. More meaningful city building and site selection and gameplay. City building and site selection. So we're building stuff in specific locations. Okay. We expect cities to span multiple tiles, where the placement of your city so we're placing cities, okay, in relation to the terrain features such as impassable mountains or more fertile soils would impact the defense or growth of your city greatly. So now it's already starting to sound wildly different than Victoria 3, given that we are not abstracted from the map, some sort of just a province that has a collection of buildings. Instead, we're placing the buildings. Placement of buildings within the city will also be actualized, giving you a feel of designing and building a city. I don't know if I want this. Okay. This is going to create... I mean, the decision points have to feel like you're getting a payoff, but maybe they will. Instead of just clicking a few buttons that don't show anything. That's fair. To create... it's just like... This is going to be... I have to imagine at some point this gets so tedious unless you have the AI take care over this sort of thing. But okay, yeah. That's like placing every building individually seems wild. So, to create a physicalized global logistics mechanic where railways and sea routes actually have actual meaning. Man, dude. This copy, actually have actual meaning on the map. It's unnecessary to include actual twice. That's, like, redundant. It's redundantly redundant. Taking control of the enemy railway hubs, for example, should cripple their industrial output. I mean, I agree with this. I think that this part is neat, but I'm, like, uncertain if I want a game to be an economic simulation or a tactical, like, warfare simulation. Like, I think that those are two separate activities, and combining them isn't necessarily bad. In fact, it's really cool when it works, but often this seems like a pretty big undertaking to be doing all this type of stuff, but I guess we'll see. Building a city in hard to traverse terrain will hinder its growth. That makes sense. When it comes to modding, players will have a much easier time customizing the map with just a few clicks. In our game editor, it can be as simply as fixing an island or a coastline that annoys you, or creating a new map that fits the fictional world of your choice. We're merging DC and Maryland, everyone. All right. As we delve deeper, well, I guess they're not states, right? Maybe there are no states. Or if provinces are just hexagons or something, there's no abstraction of a state. This is kind of interesting. As we delve deeper in future dev diaries, we will grow deeper into how the spherical hexagonal map will design is crucial to our vision and how it will work in relation to other features. Okay, so far it seems like the map is going to be way more important than Victoria 3's map, but okay. Here we have your direct influence. The primary reason why we decided to create a series of development diaries here is to share our thought process with you, the future players. As game designers, we must always balance and make trade-offs, how to provide a right balance between realism and playability. So this is the biggest thing, is like, as we were discussing earlier, realistic means you actually probably have very little control as the spirit of the nation, and playability means you have to feel, you got to get the dopamine, so you got to click the buttons and get the things on the screen and then get the dopamine, you know. Okay, will be an ongoing challenge for us. A balance that will likely evolve over time, your feedback and blah, 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 etc. Direct influence. Okay, sure. Going forward, maybe we only do 3 dev diaries because we don't want this to be too terribly long, but okay. Going forward, we plan to release a new dev diary about once a month. So if people are interested in this ongoing coverage, please let me know, because we can kind of play a little bit of catch up, I suppose. I think that's on like Dev Diary 15, and we'll be doing 3, so you should be able to catch up in a month or 2 if we go at that pace. Game designers responsible for each feature will step in and pen the dev diaries. Initially, we will pick an aspect of the game each month to explore in deep depth for you in due time. We'll take a look, etc., etc. As a sneak peek, here we'll give you an idea of what to look forward to. Here are the topics we plan to cover in the future in no particular order. Population and migration mechanics, industry, factories, resources, economy, and trade, technical decisions on the map. And this is perhaps going to be the most interesting, because so if something just kind of looks a little bit like Victoria 3, it's going to be less interesting, which doesn't mean it's bad or anything like this. It just means we've kind of seen this type of thing before. But the vision for the map seems very... it seems like a very, not aggressive, that's not the word, ambitious, yeah. City and province management, okay. So, there is provinces, but they're going to take up a bunch of these little itty-bitty tiles. Okay, anyways. Religion, culture, politics, military warfare, technology, leaders, diplomacy, national and international politics, logistics. They keep on reference to like logistics and hubs and all this. This actually has me really excited, because I think that I think that war games like under represent logistics and armies like not starving to death, and like the maneuvering on the map aspect of warfare, rather than just like the actual battles and like collecting intel and like this type of thing. But then it's like, do you want to have an economy sim, or do you want to have like a warfare thing? And generally it's hard to do both well simultaneously. Anyways, at this point in time, we would like nothing more for you to wishlist our game and continue to follow our development. It's already wishlisted for me, and you can give input with each dev diary. Please share with other like-minded people so that they can join through development, etc., etc. I guess we're sharing now. Okay, so that's dev diary 0, talking about game vision. Dev diary 1 is talking about population, which for me is, I think Victoria 3 spends too much processing resources on population, or this is my general attitude kind of going in, because the population doesn't add too much importance in terms of like gameplay decisions, and so I'm curious to see how they deal with population and how they maybe create fewer distinct entities, because if they want to have that many little itty-bitty nodes on the map, what did they say, like 1.4 million? That's nuts. 1.6 million tiles. If they want to have this, then it's give and take, right? Hello, everyone. Hello. Today we will delve into one of the Gilded Destiny's most defining foundational features, population. Please note that many of the images below today will come from our early design works. Final implementation in game will very likely differ, etc. Good hints, where we're headed. Please enjoy, feedback, etc. Okay, vision per population. The population and its underlying societal change is a critical piece of the story of industrial revolution. The population's ever-changing satisfaction, wealth, jobs, religions, cultures, new ideas, all serve as drivers for the country's direction in the economy, military, and many other fields. During the course of the 19th century, industrialization and technological breakthroughs brought about rapid societal change. This is true. We saw a rapid explosion in population and nations of agrarian societies transformed into industrialized ones. Countless subsistence farmers, yeomen, went from tending to their own fields to workers in towering factories. While the Industrial Revolution represented incredible progress in wealth creation, education, and urbanization, it also brought about many tragedies. Child labor, they get sent to the mines, unsafe working conditions, unsanitary living conditions, environmental pollution, all plague the era from which we are now seeing the aftermath of today. Okay. As the population becomes more skilled and educated, troves of new ideas follow: demand for better working conditions, desire for more social benefits, creation of institutions, higher learning, and the inception of political ideas such as liberalism. They're just kind of glossing over a little bit of the entire process of, urbanization, but okay. I mean, like, okay, they don't need to go into a history lesson. When a population is satisfied with their needs, so we see already kind of a feature that's in Victoria 3. They are engines for the country's growth. They will establish much more productive and efficient factories. They will establish, so the language here is suggestive that they are doing the creation of factories here, and that this would not necessarily be in the hands of the player if you have some sort of laissez-faire. To create more tax revenue, join the military and conquer new lands. Join the military, again, implies voluntary, kind of, to some degree, because you're not talking about conscripts, or pen research to create new advancements. On the other hand, if they live in constant poverty, many will seek other jobs or migrate to find better opportunities, while others will protest, organize strikes, or even rebellions to overthrow the government. In summary, we see the population as one of the core systems that will steer a nation's trajectory. Okay. Here we have cultures. We see a bunch of workers, aristocrats. I guess this means where they're working. We see, like, is that a bakery? This is a forge, maybe a tanner. I don't know. Religions, provinces, happiness, literacy, incomes, savings. Savings is interesting. So I guess there's going to be a savings rate that would vary based on population. Okay. And then rate of change. Okay, fair. While we may have the dream to one day create the ultimate simulation, to simulate all the possible details down to the individual, this is something that, from a game design perspective, it's like, this is in theory, this is nice, but theory is practice in theory, but not in practice. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, very often when you try and do this type of thing, the gameplay loop can perhaps suffer, but again, if it's like a super crazy simulation, it's also cool in its own right? It is unfortunately not possible for us to do this with current computer's performance envelope. I don't even know if it's theoretically possible, like, sans calculation things, to make a perfect simulation of history, but okay. Maybe one day when we master quantum computers, perhaps. Therefore, grouping populations with similar attributes has become a necessity. Fantastic. In Gilded Destiny, every population group has a job, culture, religion, location, literacy rate, income, and many qualities. The more qualities, more calculations, right? Jobs are arguably the most important attribute for each population, as it determines their wealth, needs, and likely qualities. Currently, we have about 20 jobs in our game distributed across different societal levels. Each has their own behavior, needs, and qualities. Okay, so maybe they have... We're not going to have jobs per factories, but just jobs as an entire abstraction. Let's take a look at this picture, if we can. We can't, can we? No, we can't. Okay. Fair enough. Trying to take a close look. We see needs. It looks like bread. This may be clothing, lighting, fire, booze, nice clothes. Got that drip, something like this. We have upper class, middle class, lower class. Kind of looks a lot like Victoria 3. We see manifest destiny and qualities. We are destined by God to expand. So I guess they're Americans. I think that it says diligent, manifest destiny, interventionist, industrial, something maybe, continental, brave. Okay, and they've got savings, expenses, literacy rate, growth, migration, immigration, population. Okay, interesting. depending on different attributes, such as jobs, culture, religions, or other looks at the population, their needs will differ. For example, educators will consume more books, aristocrats and capitalists will consume more luxury items, the population living in colder climates will require more food or coal for warmth. This is like definitely a level of detail that's interesting, and people from certain islands within Europe may have a certain fancy for tea. Okay. Some needs are substitutable with a similar product if needed. Victorian 3 right now, substitution works just in an absolutely crazy way. But so the thing that's really cool about Victoria 3 is the price equilibriums. And we haven't seen anything even remotely referring to that sort of thing in here. When meat is scarce, the population may be substituted with grains, so this implies this. Although it will incur a penalty in the required quantity. Coal may also be substituted for wood, for example. Population needs and regional variations in production form the basis for logistics of goods flowing between regions and trade between countries. Now you have reasons to conquer new territories and optimize production. Meanwhile, countries now have reasons to trade with one another. Okay. However, when not all needs are met, people will become rebellious. Therefore, countries may also be pushed to war in order to acquire certain goods. Going to war for tea, anyone? Of course. Population qualities. Okay, so we can see a bit closer here. Brave, coastal, industrious, interventionist, manifest destiny, diligent. Interesting. So we see manifest destiny says extra support for aggressive assimilation, minus de-assimilation chance of North America, Confucian influence, minus chance of revolt, plus support of oligarchy, plus support of dictatorship, interventionist, minus 50% chance of revolts during war, plus extra recruitable soldiers, industrious, plus 1% production output, minus 10% factory construction costs. So I guess the pops are constructing the factories, maybe. Concept repeated above. Quality is one of the most important aspects of each population group. Each population group has a specific set of defining qualities, which essentially acts as traits in game that buff or debuff to a group. Based on their job, religion, education level, income level, and other factors, people will have different beliefs about their country and the world. So I'm assuming you get industrious if you're like, capitalist. Okay. These beliefs in turn will affect their actual behavior in game. For example, they will affect their behavior. So if each individual pop now has behavior, well, I mean, I guess they kind of, yeah. I mean, overall, like, this game just seems, at the point we're at, it seems incredibly ambitious for what they're talking about, what they want to do. But it also sounds really cool. But I'm always suspicious of ambitious. For example, Eastern cultures are influenced by a Confucian quality and are more collectivist nature, which creates a stronger social cohesion and willingness to tolerate more authoritarian rule. On the other hand, populations of Western traditions are more likely to be influenced by qualities that ensure individual rights are guaranteed above all else, and more aggressive desire for democracy. So we have here an interesting insertion that is a departure from Victoria 3's philosophy, which Victoria 3, they want to be really sandboxy. They don't want to give specific groups specific bonuses, and this seems a pretty sharp departure from that. One of the problems with the sandbox attitude, though, is it hurts replayability. But okay. In addition to ideas about state and politics, people also have different ideas about lives and jobs, and some groups are better at certain jobs, and some groups are more prone to rebellion. So, yep, some group, yeah, okay. This is definitely a departure from Victoria 3's philosophy. There are realized in gameplay through qualities. Okay. However, the qualities of a population are not set in stone. Very cool, and can be changed over time. Understanding and shaping the qualities of your subject population will be critical to challenge for you as a leader. Qualities can be shaped through events, initiatives in provinces. Initiatives, ooh. That sounds like something where it's an equilibrium trend thing, which is exciting. National policies and many others. Some qualities can also be gained or removed through special historical events. At times, in order to modernize your country and implement new policies, you may first need to sway or change the qualities your population possesses in order to avoid a revolt. For example, this sometimes means modernizing the Qing Empire will be much tougher task than those putting than just putting people into factories. It will require the people to change their views and ideas first. I think that this is like true, but this is not something that's even remotely close to like simulated in Victoria 3. Okay, modding. Players can adjust the initial distribution of population in each region, overall education level, and even add jobs, cultures, and religion types. Adjusting these parameters affects the type and quality of the needs, and their qualities, the overall birth rate, death rate of population. Okay. All of the above is done through built-in editor in game. This is... I mean, I don't mod, so like I don't know if this sounds crazy or... but okay. The editor will also have a population group generation tool that allows you to tweak population-wide parameters such as job distribution, and it will generate the underlying population groups for you. This should allow you to make quick changes in populations without physically editing every single pop. Interesting. Conclusion. The population system is fundamental to the entire game, affecting almost every other feature of the game, and yet also heavily affected by other features. Today we have only scratched the surface. Population, I get it, we're deep. However, fear not, we have more details relating to other features in the dev diaries. Okay, and we can see here, placeholders, mainly placeholders, the various needs, upper class. We see a bunch of qualities down here. We see agrarian, coastal, Abrahamic roots, interventionist. I assume this is just all the possible ones, which is probably not necessary in the UI, unless you're sorting by that. Okay, fair enough. And then we will look at Dev Diary 2, which is the third Dev Diary we're looking at. Hello everyone, and welcome to the second Dev Diary for Gilded Destiny. This is a lie, bro. It's Dev Diary 2, but it's the third one. We started with Dev Diary 0. Okay. During the initial process, we dedicate a significant amount of focus to shaping one of the most important parts of the game, as we see it, the buildings feature. Our methodology and current vision will be the topic of today's Dev Diary. Production buildings. Since Gilded Destiny is partially an economic simulation, one of the primary aspects of the game is to construct production and construct production buildings to produce sufficient commodities so that farmers can support themselves and factory workers can produce enough valuable goods to help the economy industrialize. We have a slaughterhouse. Okay, so it uses laborers and clerks. It looks like we have salary and efficiency. I don't know what the efficiency is about, but that is a little bit interesting. I mean, I know it can make a bunch of different products. Its productivity is normal. Owners, capitalists. We can make it make mutton or cows, I suppose. Alright. Each building will attempt to hire... let's see, I think we already read this. Each building will attempt to hire employees and maximize its income by automatically increasing or decreasing production unless you specifically set it to manual. You, as the owner of a building, more on that later, can manually control what goods the building produces, so I assume this means you will not own every building. For example, a slaughterhouse can adopt different production formulas and switch inputs, cattle for sheep. You can also change the goods the building produces based on your region's comparative advantage and what you would believe would be most successful in the market. Buildings will often have certain placement requirements. Farms must be built on arable hexagons, and harbors must be built on a coastal hexagon. Building efficiency will depend on many variables such as the terrain type and the climate. For example, yields from crops located in colder regions will not be as high, while tropical regions are more suitable for sustaining fruit. So maybe that's what this efficiency thing is about, but okay. Or maybe it's productivity. I don't know. This seems like there's so much going on here. There's pollution. There's sourcing proximity, daily productive of slaughterhouses within a 2 hex radius plus 5%. So you're gonna have to play the hexagon placement game too here. Okay. You'd almost... Okay. Fair enough. I mean, like, the placement game, I don't hate the placement game, but, like, I like it in city builder games, right? I mean, I guess it's okay in Civ 6, but, like, I'm not sure how I feel about that level of detail in a grand strategy game that's kind of similar to a Paradox game, I suppose. But okay. The placement of buildings should be significant and will impact the surroundings, just like in real life. I mean, like this is a simulation, but like if we're to travel through 100 years, we have to have some things abstracted. But okay. We create a system to emulate this. Proximity impact. The existence of buildings will have an impact on the surrounding people and other buildings. For example, and the AI is like generally bad at these proximity type things. For example, if we were to build a cement plant near the center of the city, the cement plant would produce a significant amount of pollution, reducing the happiness of the population living and working nearby. Sounds like they have so much to freaking simulate here. If your population's happiness gets too low, they will start to protest, and this can lead to various effects such as reduction of labor efficiency at your factories, causing the debuff in your tax collection efficiency, and may even outright foment a rebellion against you. On the other hand, placing complementary buildings together will be beneficial to the efficiency of both buildings. A shortened logistical chain will provide you with some extra bonus to productivity. Just to clarify, unlike most grand strategy games, yeah, this is a bit detailed. You can decide specifically where to place buildings on the map. We hope that the variety of building types with different functions, plus the artist strategically placing buildings, will make the game far more immersive and interesting. Maybe. I mean, this, like, for me is, like, actually, like, a bit of a concern, because, like, it sounds like they're just, like, they just went down the list of features. Should we include... I mean, like, I guess we have to read more, but, like, they go down the list of features they like in every game, and they're like, should we include this? Yes. And it's just yes to everything. But, well, I mean, if you can pull it off, though, it would be sweet. But okay. Owners. Every building has an owner. It can be built by a capitalist, a nobleman, or by the state itself, i.e. you, so you're playing as the state. The owner will need to pay the workers in the production buildings, buy raw materials, and fulfill the orders for profit. In short, the owner is responsible for the factory. At the start of the game, nobles will be your primary investors and provide the funding for your production buildings. Okay, agrarian stuff. Before the Industrial Revolution, the primary source of income for nobility was land ownership. In the game, nobles will be primarily focused on developing mining operations, agriculture, and to a lesser degree factories. This kind of comports with history, so cool. Capitalists, on the other hand, primarily finance and own productions, buildings, and cities. As you industrialize, you will see an increasingly influenced capitalist class financing your economic growth. They will construct buildings within your country on their own, trying to produce profit and making your job easier. So I'm guessing they will place them wherever they want, and if this is bad for your city planning, it just gives you a headache. Buildings can also be state-owned unless you have zoning laws or something. But okay. Buildings can also be state-owned. In such cases, you take direct control of the building. All profits and business expenses, including wages, will be billed to the national budget. While having direct control of all production can theoretically give you an advantage, achieving such an advantage will not be easy. You will need to appoint qualified leaders. So leaders are going to affect output. Implement favorable policies. Okay, and most importantly, tediously adjust the intricacies of every factor in order to achieve profitability. Yeah, that last one scares me a little bit, but okay. What scares me is, like, AI is really bad at selecting, like, where to build stuff. Like, the AI is bad at getting adjacency bonuses in Civ 6. And, like, if the AI is just hyper bad, then, like, well, I guess the AI is pretty bad in Vic 3. Whether you can own buildings will depend on your national policies. You have the option to seize production from others or be prevented from possessing state-owned buildings at all. With ownership design, we wanted to give you various choices on how to run your country. You can go directly involved in the management of each building, dictate what goods are produced, or you can just step back and let the market economy decide. You are in control, however, in terms of your national policies will apply. Okay. So here we see what looks like a railroad kind of cutting through some stuff. What is this? Here's a sneak peek of us testing road networks. Okay. And so in theory, the goods also need to travel along the road, because we were talking about logistics being really important. The last part of us to talk about is non-production buildings. There are a lot of buildings that are not production related, so we will not talk about them one by one. When we discuss each future system later, we'll go deeper into them. Most of the non-production buildings belong to the state and will not be focused on profit-driven activities. For example, the Parliament Building, the National Stock Exchange, administrative buildings, railway stations, port terminals, schools, etc. They all have their own functions, effects, and people are employed with them just like production buildings. So this means we're going to play City Builder. Okay. Let's take a look here. Slaughterhouse. Okay. Seems reasonable. Hopefully after today's dev diary, you will have a better idea of how we envision the building system. In principle, we want players to be able to take direct control when desired, yet be able to rely on AI to automate most of it. Yeah. I mean, you're going to have to design an AI for all this, too. If you'd like to keep update wishlist on Steam, and follow us on Twitter, Facebook. Okay, so I think those are the only 3 dev diaries we're going to look at today, because we don't want the video to get too long. It's very intriguing. I mean, like, the word I would use would be ambitious here, where I'm a little bit skeptic that, at least with the cross-section of what we're looking at here in terms of, like, the UI, which, to be fair, the UI is not going to be good, like, this early on, but we're talking about 1.6 million tiles. Like, that is spooky as hell to me. You know, you having a full control over where stuff gets built, adjacency type stuff, some of the pop stuff's like savings rate, I mean, like, is implied by this. Soldiers, slaves. Here we have all pop types. I guess we get to see yeomen, laborers, artisan, farmers, soldiers, workers, clerks, educators, officers, aristocrats, capitalists, researchers, slaves. So it's very similar to Victoria in some sense. My understanding is it's more similar to Vicky too. But this one is just... it's interesting. I don't know. If you guys want me to keep covering these, please feel free to let me know. I'll be probably really responsive to your feedback in this regard. We can go through a lot of the dev diaries and follow it. I'm a little skeptical about this game at this point, having read through several of the dev diaries, I suppose. And if we look through some of the like screenshots on Steam, the game certainly looks interesting. But man, oh man, it's like I mean, here we can see the hexagonal thing. We can see London. We can see existing buildings. You know, slaughterhouses, food manufacturing, engine plant, refinery, brewery. I wonder how many different types of buildings there are. That's going to be... Oh, so there's buildings on each of these patches. So it looks like, by the looks of it, it looks like, what is this, 8, 12? For every hexagon can have 12 buildings. Or something like this. So this seems, I mean, like, if they pull this type of thing off, it seems like it would be interesting. It also seems like it would be ungodly tedious, which is maybe a good thing if you want to go down that route. Anyways, so you guys let me know what you think, this sort of thing, and yeah, other than that, have a good day. YouTube algo stuff, etc.